All right, ready? Let's unlock that inner rock star. We're diving deep into singing techniques today, folks.
Whether it's the main stage or just belting it out in the shower, we've got you covered.
Exactly. And the best part, you don't need to be born with a golden voice. This guide we're looking at says it's all about technique, baby.
I love that. Technique over talent, right?
100%.
Yeah.
So where do we start? The foundation, my friend. Breathing.
Breathing for singers. It sounds so simple, but this guide stresses that it's everything.
It's the bedrock. Like, they even have this visual, right? Imagine your breath expanding down and out like you're rooting yourself to the ground.
Oh, I like that. Grounding your breath, creating a strong base.
Exactly.
Huh.
And the guide says there's a physiological reason this works. It's about maximizing air intake.
Yeah, because when you breathe like that, expanding down and out instead of just puffing up your chest, you get way more air in.
Makes sense. More air, more fuel for those powerful notes.
Exactly. And speaking of power, this guide talks a lot about sustaining that airflow.
So no more gasping for air like I've run a marathon.
Haha, exactly. It's about creating this nice, even stream of air, like a steady river flowing.
Instead of a babbling brook.
Aha, yeah. That steady breath gives you control, helps your voice sound smoother. And you know what? They actually list some common breathing mistakes that singers make. I bet we've all done these.
Oh, for sure. Spill the tea. What are they?
Okay, so they mentioned things like putting too much pressure in your throat, gasping for air between phrases, and then there's the classic, raising your shoulders when you breathe in.
Ooh, yeah, I've been guilty of that. It's like my body wants to help my voice reach those high notes.
I know, right? But it actually works against you. Luckily, they've got this cool little exercise, a simple 5-tone, and you can follow along with the audio. It helps you focus on your breathing.
I love that. Actionable tips. All right, so we've got the breath down, but how do we go from just having air to shaping the sound?
Now we're talking resonance. And here's the thing, it's not about being loud.
Really? I always thought resonance was all about volume.
Nope. It's about making your voice sound full, rich, pleasing to the ear.
Okay, so more about quality than just raw power. How do we tap into that?
Think of it this way. Your vocal tract, everything from your vocal cords to your lips, it's like this resonating chamber.
Like a musical instrument?
Exactly. And the way you shape that chamber changes how your voice sounds.
Precisely. So what's the ideal shape?
The guide talks about a narrow throat, open mouth approach.
Interesting. So less tension in my throat, more space in my mouth.
You got it. And this is where it gets really cool. They highlight how important tongue position is. Like if your tongue is tense or blocking the airflow, it can really kill your resonance.
Wow, never thought about my tongue being a resonance killer.
Right. The guide really emphasizes keeping your tongue relaxed and out of the way. Let that air flow freely.
It's like creating space for your voice to really soar.
Yeah.
But speaking of space, one thing that surprised me was the connection between posture and resonance.
I know, right? You wouldn't think it matters, but good posture helps optimize your airflow.
It all comes back to the breath.
It does. And they actually have diagrams showing the ideal singing posture.
Oh, like a singer's power pose.
Exactly. Imagine a straight line from your shoulders to your hips to your knees. They even talk about making sure your head is tall and feels like it's lifting away from the body from the crown of your head.
So good posture is like a secret weapon for a powerful voice. Who knew standing up straight could do so much? All right, we've got the breath, the posture, the resonance space. Now let's get up close and personal with the vocal cords themselves.
The stars of the show. Or should I say vocal fold?
Wait, vocal fold, is that like a fancy synonym for vocal cords?
It's about being scientifically accurate. See, we used to call them cords because of how they looked in old drawings.
Oh, got it.
But turns out vocal folds is more accurate, describes their structure better.
The more you know. So these folds, how do they create such a huge range of sounds?
Vibration, my friend. Air from your lungs passes through, makes them vibrate, and the speed, that's your pitch.
So faster vibrations for those high notes.
You got it. The guide even gives these cool examples, like the A note above middle C, 440 vibrations per second.
Whoa, my vocal cords are putting in work, and we control those vibrations to hit every note. Mind-blowing.
It's pretty amazing, right? The control we have over these tiny things. And this guide, they stress balanced coordination.
Balanced coordination. Sounds intense.
Basically, it's about how much your vocal folds close when you sing. They call it chord closure, and you need just the right amount.
Too much? Too little? What happens?
Too much closure, your voice sounds strained. Too little, and it's all breathy, no power.
Finding that sweet spot, huh?
Exactly. They even have audio examples so you can hear the difference.
Yep.
Which, by the way, leads us perfectly to chest voice versus head voice.
Ah, yes. The classic vocal showdown. What's the real difference, though?
How your vocal cords work together, basically. Chest voice, that's your speaking voice, lots of chord closure,
Yeah.
powerful.
Like belting it out karaoke night?
You got it. Head voice, lighter coordination, those chords stretch thinner.
So, higher notes, but less power.
Kind of, yeah. But the key takeaway, according to the guide, is finding balance between the two.
The best of both worlds.
Ah.
So, how do we do that? Is this where the mixed voice comes in?
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner. Mixed voice bridges that gap, high notes with power and ease.
Sign me up. What's the secret?
Well, it's a journey, not a quick fix. Takes time, experimenting, patience.
Makes sense.
But they do have this cool tip. Just try speaking higher and higher. No strain, no tension.
Interesting. Gently guiding your voice up there.
Exactly. And they actually have a video showing you how. Plus, they point out common mistakes, like holding back your breath or attacking those high notes too aggressively.
Oh, yeah, I can see myself doing that, tensing up for the high notes.
It's a natural instinct, but they really emphasize airflow, especially up high. Even suggest things like releasing tongue tension.
Tongue tension, who knew?
Right. They even suggest like a tongue massage. And then there's keeping your larynx stable. That's your voice box.
Okay, a tongue massage. That's a new one.
Right. And for the larynx thing, they have this trick, adding a subtle dopey tone to high notes.
A dopey tone, you're kidding, right?
I know, sounds weird. But it helps keep your larynx from rising too high, prevents strain. They demonstrate it in a video. Works like a charm.
Man, so many things to keep in mind. But it sounds like they've really broken down this whole mixed voice thing.
They have. And they've got this great exercise to practice, the bloomy woo.
Wee woo. Okay, you've got my attention. Tell me more. Bloomy woo. It's like a vocal warm-up and a magic spell, all in one.
Right. And it really works. It helps you transition smoothly between your chest voice and head voice. They even have audio examples so you can hear exactly how it's done.
So helpful. This guide is like having a vocal coach in my pocket.
Yeah.
But before we get too carried away with exercises, let's recap. We've covered breathing, resonance, those awesome vocal folds, chest voice, head voice, even touched on the elusive mixed voice.
It's a lot, but it all connects, you know?
It really does. Makes you realize how much goes into singing well. But knowing the theory is only half the battle, Ryan. How do we take all this and actually make it stick?
That's where practice comes in. And lucky for us, this guide's got a whole section on it.
Lay it on me. How do we practice effectively?
Well, they're big on warming up properly.
Not just any warm-up, right? They mean structured, targeted.
Exactly. They call it carving a path of right singing.
I love that. So what kind of warm-ups are we talking?
One they highlight is the lip trill. You know, that buzzy sound you make with your lips.
Oh, yeah. I used to do that all the time as a kid. Didn't know it was a legit exercise.
Oh, it totally is. Lip trills are amazing, consistent airflow, balanced chord closure. They even help you find your mixed voice.
No way. Okay, lip trills. Back in the game.
Yeah.
Do they give instructions on how to do them?
Yep. They recommend starting with a long scale lip trill, going through your whole range, and of course there are audio guides to follow along with.
This guide really does have it all. And speaking of which, they mentioned a singing lessons app with even more exercises and personalized coaching.
Oh yeah, I was just thinking about that. Sounds like a great resource to check out.
Definitely. Okay, so we've warmed up, we're feeling good, time to sing some songs. Any tips for practicing songs effectively?
They recommend sticking to songs you already know well. That way you can really focus on your technique, not the lyrics or melody.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
It's hard enough remembering the words, let alone nailing the technique at the same time.
totally. They also suggest focusing on one technique at a time. So maybe one practice session is all about breath control. The next one, you focus on resonance. They even have cool simplification techniques, like speaking the lyrics rhythmically to internalize the flow, or transposing the song to a different key if certain parts feel strained.
These are great tips. Breaking things down makes it feel less overwhelming, especially when you're starting out.
Exactly. And, you know, the guide ends on such a positive note. They remind us that everyone's vocal journey is different and to celebrate those little victories along the way.
I love that. It's not about becoming a star overnight. It's about enjoying the journey, finding your own unique voice.
Absolutely. They even leave us with this thought-provoking question: what one vocal technique will you focus on today to improve your singing?
Such a great question. It's easy to get overwhelmed with all the info, so picking one thing to focus on is a great strategy. Well, there you have it, folks, our deep dive into the world of singing. Hopefully you're feeling inspired to warm up those vocal cords and unleash your inner rock star. Remember, you don't need a fancy stage or a mic to share your voice. The shower, the car, those work just fine. So embrace your unique sound, practice those techniques, and most importantly, have fun. Until next time, keep those voices soaring.